Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. This is our 2013 Mitsubishi Fuso FG that I'm slowly turning into an overland camper. Have you ever thought about building your own overland camper? Well, today I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about that you should probably consider. I don't know if you've noticed, but these things are not small. So if you want to build something like this, make sure you've got a big space with tall ceilings and a high door. You're also going to need to be able to move around some big parts, like these side panels. They're 14 feet long and 7 feet high. So not only will you need a lot of space, but you'll also need to be able to move fairly large objects. But chances are, if you're looking to take on a project like this, you've probably already thought about those things. So let's talk about some of the things that maybe you haven't. Number one, time. Building one of these trucks takes a lot of time. Now you can do it multiple ways. You can take a long time doing a little bit all the time, like me, or you can take a short period of time working on it non-stop. But keep in mind that the time that you're working on the truck really is only a small portion of the time that it takes. What do you mean? Well, here's what I mean. You might see me out here every weekend working on this truck. That's what I do. But in between every time I'm working on this truck, I'm making parts, I'm finding parts, I'm looking for parts. All of that is time that you probably wouldn't consider when you're thinking about building one of these trucks. How long does it take to put together a box? Well, maybe it doesn't take that long. How long does it take to research the panels, the adhesives, the frame that you're going to put it in, design? That's where the hidden time is, and there is a lot of it. Now, as I said, you can do it more than one way. You can spend a whole bunch of time up front designing and finding all of your parts and then start your build. Or you can get a general concept and then build and kind of design as you go. That's what I do, because a lot of the time I find as I'm starting to build things, I see a different way or a better way. And I want the ability to change the design as I go to make improvements. Case in point, the front seats. When we designed it on the computer and first built it, this was what we thought we wanted. We've got a seat, a back, and some storage in behind. Sounds like a great idea until you sit on it and it doesn't feel right. So we modified and we changed it to this. We still have the seat and we have the back, but the back is now on an angle, which leaves us no space behind. It's a little bit hard to see in this small of a space, but you can definitely see this seat is much more vertical and has a smaller base. And this one, although it's the same cushions, has a much bigger base and it's a bit more relaxing to sit in. If I had put 100% effort into my first rendition of the design, we would be stuck with this. So, giving a rough idea of this is where our seats are gonna go and here's how I'm gonna build them, we can end up with this. As I said, all of this takes time, and if you're going to commit to building one of these, unfortunately, if you have other projects, they're probably going to suffer. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Now, number two, for me, is kind of tied into the first one, but it is going to take a long time. I don't have the ability to dedicate 100% of the time because I have a job and I need to work in order to be able to build this truck. So if you have the ability to retire and take a lot of time all at once, this may not be as much of a problem for you. But for me, this is the 5-year mark. I have had this Fuso chassis with a project in the works for 5 years. And as you can probably tell, we're not done. Now that doesn't mean I was expecting to be done 3 months after I started. I knew this was going to be a big project that took a long time, but you need to expect it's going to take longer than you're expecting. And you need to make sure that other people that are involved also have the same understanding. Otherwise, you're going to get nothing but, when's it going to be done? When's it going to be done? Why isn't it done? When can we go? Note that this is a hypothetical situation. I am not saying that is the experience that I'm having, but you might. Now, once you're willing to accept that time might not be your best friend in a project like this, it's time to move on to number 3. You're probably going to run into some unexpected problems. I spent over a year just trying to get the engine to run, and I have no idea if that's the end of my mechanical problems. Now, of course, I could have solved this a different way and thrown a whole bunch of money at it, which would have taken far less time, but you kind of have to choose one or the other. Let me say that again. I could have thrown a whole bunch more money at it. Speaking of more money, let's move on to number 4. If you're using a commercial chassis such as this or a school bus, you're going to want to take a look at the price of parts. Things like suspension, brakes, tires, and maybe even super single rims. Of course, there's an understanding that everything costs money, but if you don't take a look ahead of time, you might be surprised at how expensive something like a brake drum can be for a truck like this. Now, while we're talking about cost, consider that if you are not able to do the mechanical work on something like this yourself, you're going to have to find a heavy-duty mechanic. You cannot take one of these to your everyday car garage and expect them to have the equipment that's needed to work on something like this. They're heavy, they have a lot of very high torque bolts and nuts, and depending on what chassis you're using, it's likely they may need specialized software to even be able to look at the computer. But that's enough of that. Let's talk about why you should build one. Overland trucks are cool. That is definitely not the number one reason to build one. That's probably the number one reason not to build one. Don't build one because you saw one and you thought it was cool. You really, if you're gonna put this much effort into building something, you really wanna make sure it's what you want. I mean, by all means, if you think they're cool, you should have one, but maybe try buying one and seeing if you like it. Because if you don't, chances are, in a short period of time it takes for you to realize that it's not what you want, you can probably still get pretty close to the same value on the market. So why should you build one instead of buying one? Well, number one, you get to choose every single part in here. And that means you're getting exactly what you want, not just what's available. And clearly, you get to pick where each part goes. You get the exact layout that you want, not just something that somebody else had available. Now, mind you, there's not really a whole lot of different configurations that you can do in a space like this, which space is a bit of a limitation, but it's whatever you want in the space that you want, in the size that you want, with the materials that you want, in the time that you want. So it's kind of, what you want. I chose how much battery I wanted. Krista decided how the kitchen was going to go. Together, we decided we wanted the seats in the front, the shower in the doorway with the toilet that slides out from under the bed. We decided the bed should go in the back and raise up to the ceiling when we're not using it, so we have 2 extra seating positions. We also decided how long we would be from front to back, how tall we would be from floor to ceiling, and we also decided that we were only going to be 7 feet wide, not 8. Somebody thought 8 feet was a little bit too wide because you wouldn't be able to see past the box and the mirrors of the truck. But at 7 feet wide, we have enough space for a width-wise bed, which you wouldn't get in a typical van build. Now, number 2 as to why you should build your own overland vehicle is potentially you can save a huge amount of money. I'm not saying it's going to be cheap, but it is going to be cheaper than if you buy one pre-made or you pay someone else to build one for you. Now that may not matter to you, and maybe buying is the right way to go, especially if you don't plan on keeping it for a long time. You're not going to lose in the resale because it's not going to devalue because it hasn't really changed that much. But if you plan on keeping it for a long time, you have a huge potential in using your hands instead of your wallet. And this brings us to number 3. You get to spread the cost over time. Now, that might not sound amazing, but if you think about it, if I'm done building this truck in 5 years and I've spent $50,000, that's $10,000 a year, which is less than $1,000 a month, which is probably less than what most people pay on their mortgage. And if you look at the alternative, if I was to buy one of these trucks, I'd probably be spending about $250,000, which means I'm saving $200,000 building this myself. And of course, that doesn't take into account the cost of my own labor, and it also means that I have to do it over a longer period of time, which if you're ready to get out and hit the road now, clearly isn't going to work the same. Now, number 5 is a combination of 2 things. First, you will learn how to do things you didn't know how to do before. When I started this project, I could TIG weld aluminum, but I wasn't really the best. I would say right now, I'm acceptable. Prior to starting this project, I knew nothing about composite materials, and I'll say now, I still know very little, but I know enough to not try making my own. Could I? Probably. I mean, there are people out there that do it. Would I? Not on a project of this scale. Yeah, it would have been a significant savings in money, but to me, it was a much higher risk of the failure rate of the homemade panels that I've seen people making online. But that doesn't mean I didn't learn about panels and bonding and gluing and adhesives. All of that I would not have been into had I not taken on this project. Nor would I have known the fear of cutting a massive hole in the side of a really expensive panel to put in a door. And I'm going to know that fear again when it comes time to put in the windows. But it also means that because I'm the one who's put everything together in here, I'm the one who knows how to take it apart and fix it if it needs to be fixed when we're out exploring around the world. I guess that means I'm also the only one that I can blame when something falls apart when we're out exploring the world, but at least I'll be able to fix it. Or I'll know what it needs in order to be fixed. And I'm sure you're wondering, so I'll answer the question right now. Yes, there's a dedicated space right there for the 3D printer. So aside from learning new things, understanding how everything has gone together, being able to fix it if you break it or it breaks while you're out on the road, you're also going to get a great deal of satisfaction. When you start with nothing and you end up with a full-on Overland build and you can look at it and tell anybody who asks, I built that, that's going to be a good feeling. So, should you build your own Overland vehicle? Well, I can't answer that question for you, but I think if you do decide that building an Overland vehicle is the right thing for you and you're aware of the things that we've talked about today, you'll do just fine. I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, hit the hype button if you see it, and if you haven't, consider subscribing. But most importantly, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.